Member, you are live.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Laura Friedman, and I am the state assembly member representing the 44th Assembly District. I am very, very pleased that you're with us today. But I think that if you're here, you're probably having a tough time right now. And so we decided to put together this town hall to try to help you get through this time and to give you the resources that you need. Many constituents contact my assembly office and my colleague Chris Holden's office for help with unemployment insurance issues. In fact, they contact us about that more than any other issue. So today, my colleague, Assemblymember Chris Holden, and I have partnered together to bring you this EDD Unemployment Insurance Benefit and Resource webinar to get you as much information as we possibly can. Now, constituents in both of our districts have experienced layoffs and continue to return to work after multiple strikes in the entertainment industry that have been happening through last year. Now, today we've brought people from EDD here to provide you with an overview of how to apply for unemployment insurance and to explain to you the process of how to continue to receive benefits even once your claim has been approved. Now, my team is always here to help, as well as Assemblymember Holden. So if you need any additional information after watching this seminar, don't hesitate to contact my office if you are in the 44th Assembly District, or Assemblymember Holden's office, or whoever's office you happen to reside in. This information will also be left up on the internet, so you can come back and watch this webinar later or send it to anybody who you think might be helped by it. So thanks again for joining us. And now I'd like to turn the webinar over to my wonderful colleague, Assemblymember Chris Holden.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'd like to thank my esteemed colleague, Assemblymember Laura Friedman, her staff, my team, and the representatives of EDD for coming together to provide this informative webinar on unemployment insurance and resources available through EDD. Quite frankly, I wish we didn't have to talk about unemployment or disability. Moreover, I wish our constituents did not have to experience, but it happens. And when unemployment happens, EDD is here to help you. So if your loved one is currently experiencing unemployment, know that you're in the right place at the right time. You are here to gain expert insight from our panel of EDD professionals that will help you establish and navigate your claim so that you or your loved one receive the appropriate unemployment insurance benefits as quickly as possible. During the COVID-19 pandemic, my office assisted with thousands of unemployment claims. And on a regular basis, my office stands ready, along with Assemblymember Friedman's office, to serve and help constituents when they need helping hand with an agency within the jurisdiction of the state of California. The contact information for my office and Assemblymember Friedman's will be placed in the chat. I'd like to let you know that we're here to serve, and we thank you for joining us this afternoon, and we know that you'll get a lot of valuable information out of this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Assembly members. My name is Diane Rana. I am a field rep for Assemblymember Laura Friedman. In just a moment, we will introduce presenters from EDD. Please note that during today's webinar, if you want to ask a question, please type your question in the Q&A box. Our panelists cannot answer claim-specific questions. Please do not share personal information. We will respond to questions as time permits. There's a designated time for Q&A after the presentations. And if we do not get to your questions during the webinar, please contact your respective Assembly District office for assistance. Oh, sorry. Now I turn this over to Kyle Derbish, Communications Specialist with EDD. Kyle, can you unmute yourself, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry about that. As they said, I am Kyle Derbish. I'm with the Communication Change Management team with the Unemployment Insurance branch of EED. And we're going to be going over an unemployment overview this afternoon. So first, we'll go through the agenda that's in the presentation, which the basic high-level overview of what unemployment is. We'll discuss some of the major areas of eligibility. We'll also discuss how to apply, and then follow that up with what to do after you apply in order to continue receiving benefits. So the first kind of high-level overview of unemployment, the first thing to know is that it's paid for by your employer, and it provides temporary partial income replacement when you're unemployed or you have had your hours reduced due to no fault of your own. There's 3 main eligibility requirements that have to be met each week. First, you have to be physically able to work, you have to be available for work, and you have to be actively seeking work. Unemployment pays anywhere from $40 to $450 per week, and that's based on your highest quarterly earning during the base period. We'll be covering what the base period is in just a few moments. It provides up to 26 weeks of benefit payments. An unemployment claim is valid for 1 year. And then there's a 7-day mandatory unpaid waiting period at the beginning of the claim. So the first eligible week of unemployment is a waiting period. Those benefits are not paid, and then the payments start after that. So the first question is, what is a base period? So a base period is a specific 12-month term that we use to see if you've earned enough wages in order to establish a claim. There's 2 types of base period. The standard base period, that's eligible for most people. And if the standard base period is not eligible, then we can look at what the alternate base period is. So for more information on that, this would be an example of a standard base period. So as we're in February, we would be looking at this section of the graph. So we would be looking at October of 2022 to September of 2023. So the wages that you earned during that time period would be what we use to establish your claim. So again, if you've had regular employment throughout all of these months, you're probably not going to have to pay much attention to this. You'll get a notice in the mail once your claim has been filed. It'll cover the base periods we use to file your claim and how we determined how much your wages were. That's an important note, is that you will get this information in the mail describing your base period. If you see any information missing, if you see an employer missing or wages missing, you would always want to contact us in order for us to start investigating where those wages are and getting those added to your claim. So if the standard base period is not eligible, if there's not enough earnings from this time period in order to establish a claim, then we will look towards the alternate base period. And what that does is essentially moves all of those quarters up 1 closer. So again, if we're in February right now, we would be looking at January of 2023 to December of 2023 and see if there's additional wages in this October, November, December time period in order to have a valid claim. And as you can see, every time we move a quarter forward, the base period shifts as well. So there's a minimum amount of wages that have to be in the base period in order to establish a claim. The easiest way to establish a claim is if you have $1,300 in wages in 1 quarter of your base period. And I'm going to go back to that and just show you. If you have $1,300 earned in January, February, or March, that would be enough to establish a claim. However, if you do not have enough, you would need at least $900 in wages in the highest quarter, and then 1.25 times your highest quarter earnings in the remaining quarters of your base period. So again, if you've had regular employment over the last 18 months, this will most likely not be an issue for you. If you have any additional questions about this, we actually have a benefit calculator on our website that you can go to. Enter in the wages that you've earned over the last 18 months, and it'll give you an estimate of how much you would receive in unemployment benefits. This is the calculator I was just talking about. So again, with this link right here, you can go there, you can enter your wages, and it'll give you an estimate of how much you would receive in unemployment. So the next question, after what you would need to establish a valid claim, would be how to apply. So the easiest and most recommended way to apply is online through UI Online. And you can find that at the edd.ca.gov/UI_online. That would be the easiest place to apply. Everything moves the quickest. When you submit your application, it gets to us immediately, and it allows us to start processing it quickly. If you're not able to file online, you can also file by phone or through fax or mail. So to file through fax or mail, you would need to complete, sign, and fax the UI application to the correct address that's directed on the form. It is preferred, if you're going to use these methods, to fax your application instead of mailing it. Again, it's just to speed up the process. Additionally, you can file over the phone, and the phone numbers are listed on this page. And if there's one thing I can recommend, it's always try to apply online. There's a lot of help texts that we've added recently in order to clarify any questions. Again, it really helps the process move much quicker. There's been times where if we receive a fax or mail, sometimes a question doesn't get answered, and it slows the process in which we're able to complete the application. So again, would always recommend using UI Online in order to file. So you'll need a certain amount of information when you're filing your claim. So the high-level information is you're going to need personal information. You're going to need information about your last employer. You're going to need some additional employment history information, especially the last 18 months. And you will also need identity documents. So for personal information, you'll need your name, date of birth, social security number, mailing and residential address, your phone number, your citizenship status, and your employment authorization documents if you are not a U.S. citizen. For last employer, you'll need the company name that you last worked for, your supervisor's name, the mailing address and physical location, a phone number, the last day that you worked. And that's an important one. A lot of questions come up with that. It's the last day that you physically worked is the question that we're always going to be asking. We'll ask the time period that you worked for the employer as well, but the last day that you went in and worked for the employer, that's the day that we're really going to be focusing on. Additionally, we'll need the total gross earnings for the last week that you worked. So that's starting on Sunday until the date that you filed. For that week, how much did you earn in wages for that week? For your employment history, you'll need information about all the employers you worked for in the past 18 months. Again, a lot of the same information that we need on the last slide, including the name, address, dates of employment, your gross wages earned, the amount of hours that you worked per week, your rate of pay, and then additionally, the reason that you're no longer working for that employer. If you are a federal employee, you're going to need a standard Form 8. And if you're ex-military, you'll need a DD-214 in order to help you out, in order to complete the application process. So you will also need identity documents. The EDD partnered with ID.me to create a safe and easy way to verify your identity within UI Online. So when you file a new claim, you'll be directed to the ID.me site to start the self-service options where you can take a selfie and upload your identity documents in order for us to ensure the correct person is filing the claim. If there's any issues, you may be asked to join a video call with a ID.me trusted referee before continuing your application. You'll be asked to provide 2 primary documents and then one primary document and 2 secondary documents. And the list of acceptable documents is available on the EDD website under filing a claim. So after you've submitted your application, you want to allow 7 to 10 days for processing. We will mail you important information in the mail about your claim, and that you should receive within 5 to 10 days. You want to read through everything that you receive in the mail and respond to us timely in order to avoid any delays. You may be sent what we call a continued claim form. by mail. This is how you certify for benefits. So we'll get into this in the next slide, but that's essentially letting us know every 2 weeks that you are eligible for benefits, and then that allows us to pay those benefits. And to go into a little bit more detail, when you receive the documents in the mail, you're going to receive quite a few documents. You'll get a notice that your claim was filed. That's going to have all of the basic information that you provided on the application. Again, you'll want to cover that, make sure that everything is correct. You'll also receive a notice with all of the wages we used to file your claim. I spoke about that earlier. You'll want to make sure all of those wages are there. If there's anything missing, you can either contact us online or by phone, or you can just take a photocopy of the actual form that we sent you, provide the wages that are missing and the information about that employer there, and mail it back. But again, a lot of important information still does go through the mail for us, so you'll want to make sure to keep a lookout. As I had mentioned, certified for benefits is something you'll hear a lot about when it comes to unemployment. And you have to answer these eligibility questions every 2 weeks in order for us to authorize payment. There's 3 ways to certify for benefits. Again, online is the recommended way to do it. You can do it through UI Online. Then at that point, it gets transmitted to us very quickly. If there's any clarifying information needed, UI Online will ask additional questions. There's only 7 questions on the actual per week that we have to ask you. And so if there's any clarifying information, it can ask you additional details, which can help move payments along quicker. So again, we'd always recommend using UI Online. And then if you have no wages to report, if you're not working part-time or anything like that, you can use what's called telecert, and you can certify over the phone through an automated system. And then you can also certify by mail. So again, that's what I mentioned earlier with the continued claim form. Those will get mailed out to you. You complete them. They're kind of like a Scantron answer questions. You answer those questions, you fold it, mail it back to us with the envelope that's enclosed. And then at that point, once we've received it and processed it, we can authorize payment. If there's any questions about your eligibility, we will schedule an eligibility interview. So you'll receive a letter in the mail with the date and time of your interview. A representative will call you at the time listed on the notice. There will also be some information about the questions we're going to ask. And we ask that you be prepared to provide any additional information or documentation during this interview, again, to help speed up the process. If needed, your employer may also be contacted to help move this interview along. And then you can reschedule your interview. You just need to contact us at least 1 day prior to the actual date that we're scheduled to call. And you can do this by contacting us over the phone, or you can do this through UI Online. Once you have an interview scheduled and you log into UI Online, there'll be a button there to reschedule if needed. Rescheduling can only go backwards, so we can't reschedule you earlier. It's always going to go backwards. And then if you do not participate in the phone interview, your benefits could be delayed or denied. Again, it's always good to make sure that you talk to us in order for us to determine those eligibility issues. If you do not meet the eligibility requirements, we will send you what's called a notice of determination along with an appeal form, and you may submit an appeal if you disagree. So timely appeals must be received within 30 days, but the appeal form will have all the information that you'll need to provide, and then you can provide why you disagree with the decision. If you've lost the appeal form, you can just provide all of your personal information and then mail that to the address that's listed on the top of that notice, and we can start the appeal process for you. You may also receive a request for eligibility information questionnaire, and that's going to be used instead of a phone interview. So in order to speed up the process, we might send you a notice in the mail. It will have a list of questions on it. You can complete that, fill that out, and mail it back to us. And then once we receive that, we can determine your eligibility from there. And then for conditional payments, we issue conditional payments when you've received at least one payment on your claim, and your claim has been pending for more than 2 weeks. So if you've already received payment and then it's pending, we'll continue to issue you conditional payments. If for some reason you're found ineligible, those benefits would have to be paid back. When your first payment is authorized, Money Network will mail you a debit card. And that's used for unemployment, disability, and paid family leave benefits. The card is valid for 3 years, so you'll want to keep a hold of that just in case that you have a disability claim in the future or a paid family leave claim in the future. And then if you need a replacement card or if it's lost or stolen, you'll want to contact Money Network, and their information is listed on the slide. So now we're going to talk about the California training benefits. If you receive unemployment benefits while you continue your education, upgrade your skills, or trying to learn a new trade, you may be eligible for what we call CTB, or California training benefits. This would change your claim slightly. You would not need to be, if you're approved for California training benefits, you would not need to be available or actively seeking work because you would be in approved training. If it's the approved training, you may be eligible for a training extension, which could add up to 26 weeks of benefits onto the claim. And if you're interested in the program, you'll need to contact EDD by the 16th week of your claim. So once you start receiving benefits, and if you're interested in training, again, you can go to the website, edd.ca.gov/CTB for more information about training, but you'll want to let us know that you're looking into it. You can do this online through UI Online, or you can do this over the phone as well. And then as a note, EDD does not cover any education or training related expenses, for instance, books or supplies. This would just change the eligibility requirements on a claim to not need to look for work or be actively seeking work. I've mentioned it a few times, but UI Online is the fastest and most convenient way in order to certify for benefits, and that'll help you get paid faster. You'll get up-to-date information about your payments. You can also update your personal information. If you need to, you can reschedule a phone interview. You can also ask a question about your claim online. And you will receive important notifications from us. You'll get an email letting you know that it's time to certify for benefits. Every 2 weeks, you'll get that email letting you know, hey, we need you to log in, submit that eligibility information so we can start processing the payment. I spoke about it a bit earlier, but Telecert is the unemployment self-service phone line. So you can get payment information. You can certify for benefits, which again, we always say this term, but it's essentially providing your eligibility information for 2 weeks at a time in order to receive payment. You can also listen to pre-recorded information about unemployment on this page as well, or on this phone line as well. And then if you need any additional help, you can go online through UI Online and submit questions through UI Online. So when you go into UI Online, there'll be an ask a question function. You can submit your question through there, and then staff will respond back to you through UI Online. You can also contact us by phone, and the numbers are listed on the page. And then you can also go into your local America Job Center of California, and then oftentimes they can help get you on the phone or contact unemployment through their offices. If you need to cancel a claim, you may do so. However, that claim cannot have any of benefits paid on it. So we cannot have paid any benefits in order to cancel that claim. And you can also not have been disqualified. So if you're disqualified or paid on a claim, we cannot cancel it. But if not, then we can cancel that claim. And you'll just need to let us know before the 52 weeks of that claim end, so we can cancel the claim if needed. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Susan.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Susan Diaz. I am with EDD Workforce Services Branch, and I'll be sharing some information today about America's Job Center of California. The America's Job Center of California has a comprehensive range of no-cost employment and training services for employers and job seekers. We have a lot of services available to you, like I said, at no cost. So please come down. I will show you how to search for your local America's Job Center of California on the site. Some of the programs that we have is the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, the WIOA, which funds career training and supportive services. You will want to contact your local AJCC for more information on local programs and other community resources. Each WorkSource Center does have different grants and training programs available. Another program that we offer is the Trade Adjustment Assistance Program, the TAA. It is a federal funded program that offers case management services and employment services to individuals who have been laid off due to foreign trade. Other services that we offer at the AJCC is career planning, skill assessment, workshops such as resume writing and interviewing techniques, labor market information, which you can access through the EDD and CalJobs website, local job fairs. We also work with employers to do local recruitments. For example, 2 weeks ago, we did a large recruitment with the post office in our Pasadena office. And we also offer occupational training. If we have any veterans in the audience, I want to take a moment to thank you for your service. We do have 2 specialized case management programs. One is for our veteran population, and the other one is for at-risk youth ages 15 through 25. We also have a job club, which is called Experience Unlimited, which is a networking group for professionals with a bachelor's degree or higher. And our CalJobs website. CalJobs is a no-cost internet job search system accessible from any electronic device 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. CalJob allows you to tailor and save multiple resumes. And it also has a feature for employers to search for candidates through the resume search system. If you're receiving unemployment benefits, unemployment customers are required to register for CalJobs and create an online resume that can be viewed by employers. You must meet this requirement within 21 days of receiving your notice of requirement to register for work, and the form number will be DE 8405. Failure to meet this requirement can result in a delay or loss of UI benefits. And the careeronestop.org site. This is like a one-stop shop for a lot of different resources. And I am going to show you a live demonstration of the site. So this is the Career One-Stop site. As you can see, there's a lot of information and resources available through county, city, and state programs. To find your local office, you would click here on Find Local Help. And then here you would just type in the city and state or zip code to find your local AJCC office. The other site I wanted to share was the CalJobs site. This is the job search site that EDD runs. And there's also a lot of information here on the CalJobs homepage, as well as you can also locate the closest America's Job Center of California through the CalJobs website. And I briefly mentioned labor market information. There's also a direct link here for labor market information. We will now go to questions.
Okay, so I can start going through some of these questions. So the first one that I see here is, if my benefits have been exhausted, am I eligible for extensions? As of right now, there are no extensions for unemployment in California. In general, the extensions are federal extensions, and those generally only take place when those are voted on by the U.S. Congress.
Thank you so much, Kyle, for starting off on our Q&A. We were, as part of the registration process, we did ask our attendees to submit questions. As you can see, we have a few hundred participants and quite a few questions that were submitted in advance. And so I'm going to queue those up. Time permitting, we'll get through as many of these questions as possible. And just know that in the chat box throughout this entire presentation, there have been resources that align with the presenter's presentation. So there's a lot of resources already linked on the chat box. So please take a moment to look there as well. But I'm going to kick off the first question. It's a general question about who can apply for unemployment insurance. Can I apply if I'm self-employed? Can I apply if I'm paid on a 1099? Or the third one is, can I apply if I have an S Corp and I'm paid through that?
Yeah, so the first thing that I always want to mention is that you're always available to apply for unemployment. I would never want anyone to not apply. However, whether or not you would be eligible would be determined about your individual circumstance. So in general, people that are self-employed oftentimes are not covered by unemployment insurance unless they select self coverage while they're setting up their self-employment. So it is potentially possible, and again, you could always apply. But if you've only been paid through self-employment and you have not, selected self-coverage for unemployment, most likely you would not have benefits, but again, you would always be available to apply.
Okay. Thank you so much. We have an additional question in regards to being laid off. Can I be qualified for unemployment in a layoff situation if I was offered a placement at a location farther away, but declined due to relocation would have created hardship for family due to transportation and the distance of the new location?
Yeah, so much like the first answer, it's going to be on your particular circumstances. So you will definitely want to apply for benefits. During the application process, they're going to ask you about how you no longer work or what happened for you to no longer work for your employer. There you'd be able to provide some information. They would then schedule you for a phone interview, most likely, or they would send you a notice in the mail. You would want to provide all the details about your particular circumstance, and then at that point, we can make a determination. If you're eligible, then payments could start going out on that claim. If not, you'll receive a notice in the mail letting you know why, and you could always appeal that decision if you disagree with it.
Thank you so much. In regards to any age restrictions, there was a specific question, can you collect unemployment insurance if this was a specific question, over the age of 70, but are there age restrictions to collecting unemployment?
No, as long as you're available for work, you're looking for work, and you're actively seeking work, then at that point you would still be eligible to apply and receive unemployment. There's no age restrictions. It would just be that you would still need to continually be available and looking for work.
Thank you so much. If you could just reiterate, this question came up, and I believe it was touched on, but just as a reminder, how long can a person receive unemployment?
Yeah, so that number can change. It depends on how much is in that base period that we had talked about earlier. So we always often say 26 weeks of unemployment. That's if you're receiving full benefits. So if you're not working part-time or you're not having your benefits reduced for any reason, then at that point you would receive 26 weeks. Most of the time, it depends. Sometimes it can be as low as 13 if you don't have as much wages in your base period. But the general answer would be 26 weeks.
And you know what? There were some questions asked before the seminar, and this is an active question in the Q&A. When individuals exhaust their unemployment benefits, are there current and active extension programs available?
So the general extensions have not been available since I want to say 2021 or maybe 2022. Those obviously took place during the pandemic. But in general, there's no general extensions. There's the California training benefits sometimes has a training extension if you're eligible. That would be the only type of extension, and that would be if you're in an approved training program and meet all the eligibility requirements, you can receive an additional 26 weeks of benefits. But for general extensions, if benefits have already been exhausted, unfortunately, no, there are no federal extensions or additional unemployment extensions right now.
And again, I think you did highlight this in your presentation. Just want to reiterate it. What can I do if I'm having trouble verifying my identity?
Yeah, so there's a few things. If you're going through the ID.me process, at that point, you may be asked to complete a phone call or video call with a trusted referee. So at that point, you could complete it through that. We also have a video on our YouTube page that goes through the how to complete the ID.me process. So on our YouTube page, we have a video that takes you step by step through the ID process. And then if you're still having trouble and the video and the trusted referee isn't working, then at that point, I would suggest contacting UI over the phone, and they can make sure that your claim gets filed.
Okay, now there was a question, and this was submitted in advance of the meeting, but I also did see it in the Q&A thread. If disability or illness, injury occur after the unemployment claim, can there be a transition to disability insurance and vice versa? If there's a disability and it becomes unemployment, can I guess the disability and unemployment system be transitioned to and from?
Yeah, so they would be separate claims. So the vice versa is easier for me to explain. If you're on disability and then you are now available for work and you're actively seeking work, then at that point you could apply for unemployment benefits. And then we would determine your eligibility. And then same if it is in reverse, right? So you can certainly, once the unemployment is for when you are out of work and you're actively seeking work and you're available for work, and disability would be if you're unable to work due to health reasons. So you can't overlap those at all because they're fundamentally different. One is saying that you are available for work and one is saying that you aren't due to health reasons. But once your situation is switched, then at that point you would want to apply for the other benefit.
And again, I just want to remind the attendees who are live with us throughout this process and the Q&A portion, there are links and resources that we've shared that you can click on for additional information or on the information specific to what the panelist has been talking about. This question came up, and this was a pressure point during the COVID-19 pandemic. There were more claims than people to answer the claims. This was, when I call EDD, it's always busy and I cannot reach a human being. What should I do?
Yeah, so at this point, they have we've created. Obviously, we're getting less calls now than during the beginning of the pandemic, and we have changing ability to change our workforce so more people can answer the phones when more people are calling. So hopefully we've cut down on those amount of busy calls. If not, again, UI Online would be a great resource. Once you've logged into your UI Online account, you can submit a question through there, and you'll get the same staff that would answer the phone. Oftentimes are going to be the ones answering your question through there. So you can provide all of your details and your information about the question that you're having, and then you'll get a response. The person that is answering your question will review your claim and then see if they can take care of any issues through there. Additionally, you can go into your local AJCC, the American Job Center, and they oftentimes will have an ability to get people on the phone.
Okay, now, if you're not sure what your wages were for the eligible quarter, does the EDD have a way to pull up that information on your behalf so that they can properly address the wages that were earned?
Yeah, so when we're asking for, obviously we want you to be as specific as possible when you're filling out the application on the wages that you earned. However, you do not need to get down until the exact dollar amount. The wages are reported by your employer, and so we'll always have the ability to pull those. When we're asking, we want a good idea of what number should be there in order for us to start the process. If you're saying that there should be, X amount of money on there and there's half of that, then we know there might be an issue. So you'll still want to provide as good of a record as you can on the application process, but generally your employer should be reporting that information anyway, so we'll be able to pull that information.
Okay, now this is given the proximity to Hollywood for both of our assembly districts. This question is, as an actor who has multiple employers, when filling out a new claim, how to account for residuals so that they can be counted toward your wages in a given quarter? Particularly, how can you account for the main source of income?
Yeah, so in the employment history section of the application, you'll be able to provide additional information. Again, it's going to pull all of the employers that you worked for over the last 18 months, or at least the record of the employers that we have. If there's any additional employers that aren't there, then at that point, you'll have an option to provide that information. So you can then provide that information and let us know if there's any additional wages that we should be looking for. If once that claim has been filed, you'll receive a notice in the mail with the wages we use to file your claim. It'll have 4 different quarters on it. It'll tell you how much wages we have for each one of those quarters. If there's any wages missing there, then at that point you can contact us and then we can start looking and investigating where those wages are.
And I guess a secondary question to that, if the actual job was possibly months or years ago, but the residual was received within the claim period, what do they do with the, I guess what year information do they use?
Generally, you want to use the information on the check stubs. That's especially for employer information, I know especially with people working in the film and TV industry, oftentimes the place that they're working is actually they're getting paid from a different place. And so always basing it off of what's available on the check stub of how you receive that payment would be the best information that we could get.
And can you, I guess, reiterate and talk through the denial appeal process?
Yeah, so if we determine that you're not eligible for benefits after either a phone interview or receiving that information in the mail through that eligibility questionnaire, then at that point you'll receive a notice in the mail letting you know why you've been disqualified. That will come with an appeal notice. The letter telling you why you're disqualified is going to give you the unemployment section code that we used, and it'll also generally have the excerpt that we used from that section code. So you'll kind of get an idea of why, unfortunately, we're not able to, or we had to disqualify you from benefits. At that point, then you can, again, use the appeal form in order to fill that out and send it back to us and tell us why you disagree with that decision. Once we receive that, someone will go through all the information in order to determine if there was any additional information that we've received since then that might change it, or if the determination was made correctly. So basically, we reviewed again. If at that point you still feel that the disqualification is correct, then at that point we will file the appeal with the California Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board. And then you would receive a notice in the mail letting you know a date and time for the appeal to take place. And then you would go through the appeal process. It would be looked over by an administrative law judge, and they would determine whether or not you are eligible for benefits. If they determine that you're eligible, they'll provide that information directly to us, and then we'll go about correcting that decision and moving forward with the claim.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that it's clear. This has come up a few times. Do I guess single owner, multiple owner, LLC, and S Corp wages count as wages for consideration in unemployment?
Again, that would be specific to that individual person. So during the application process, we're going to have questions that cover that. And then you would want to provide all of your information. We'll review that information when we're filing your application. If there's any additional questions that we need to determine your eligibility or determine if those wages are available, then we'll reach out. And then if they are available, your claim would move forward. If not, again, you would receive a notice in the mail letting you know why those wages were not usable.
And it looks like we have a severance question. I'm in the process of severance negotiations, and when asked if I am receiving severance, right now it's undetermined. Do you say yes or no at the time of the application? And how does severance impact unemployment eligibility?
Yeah, so the first one I would want to answer is if at the application process you have not received severance and there's not an agreement that you're going to receive severance yet, then you would just want to answer what is correct at that time period. They know you're not. If you do start receiving severance later, you can report that information again through UI Online or through the Certify for Benefits process. You would then be able to report once you've received the severance. And with any sort of pay that takes place after the employment has ended, there might be additional questions. They might have scheduled you for a phone interview or send you an eligibility questionnaire, and then we'll determine your eligibility. But I did see part of the question on one of them was asking if they should wait to apply. I would never tell anyone to wait to apply. Once you've become unemployed, then at that point, you would want to send in your application. You don't want to wait because you might receive severance or not. Submit your application, provide all the information that's true at that time period. If your circumstances change, just let us know at that time period and we can start making your determination. But I would not suggest to wait to apply. I would always make sure that you apply, and then we can start getting to work to determine if that's going to influence your benefits or anything like that.
Okay. The next question has to do with intermittent work. And what is the best course of action if work is intermittent? For example, 5 weeks off, 2 weeks on, and then multiple months off afterwards. Would this individual need to apply, then cancel, and then reapply? How does that work?
No, so you would just need to apply the initial time. At that point, your claim would be filed. Payments could start going out after your waiting period was served. Once you've returned to work, you can let us know. During the certifying for benefits process, there's questions that include if you've worked or earned any wages, if you've returned to work. If you have returned to work, then at that point, you can stop sending in your certification. If you've returned to work full time, you can stop sending in your certifications. Once you're unemployed again, then you would want to contact us and reopen your claim. So the claim is open for 52 weeks. You wouldn't need to cancel a claim or anything like that. You're just going to be reopening that same claim. So if I opened a claim for this week and I was out for 4 weeks and I started receiving benefits for that, I returned to work for a few months and then that job ended. I'm waiting for my next. Then at that point, you would just be reopening that same claim for the next 52 weeks. So it's just going to be reopening that claim. You can do that online. You can do that, and that would be the preferred method. If you do that online, once you log into your online app claim, then it'll say, do you want to reopen your claim? It'll ask you some questions, and then we can start getting the process of reopening your claim. But you don't need to cancel. You would just submit your certification saying, I've returned to work. I no longer need unemployment right now, and then you would reopen that claim later.
Okay, so this next question has to do with an employee who has experienced a dramatic decrease in hours worked. And it goes, I haven't worked, let's see, I'm a temp worker. The company that I worked at has drastically decreased my hours in the past year. And I haven't worked for 5 weeks, but I've not been fired. As the company is still in restructuring. Am I qualified to collect unemployment? I'm actively looking for work to make up for those hours lost.
Yeah, so any week that you were not working and you're not, let's say, on like a vacation or anything like that, then you would be eligible to apply for benefits and start receiving benefits for those weeks off. So I know it can happen in the film and TV industry with people working on a job for a few months and then it, stopping for a few months, or in construction, there might be weather delays that might stop people from working for a few months or a few weeks. Basically, if at the end of the week you haven't worked, you would want to apply for benefits. Again, we would, kind of like how I mentioned earlier, we would file a claim for you. You could be on those for a few weeks while they're looking kind of like finding you a new position or anything like that. Then at that point, once you return to work, let us know. Or if you found a new job, you can let us know. If that happens again, you would reopen that claim as long as it's within the 52 weeks. So again, I would always just say at the end of a week, if you did not have any work, then you would want to apply for benefits, and then you can start going from there.
And this next question has to do with extended unemployment beyond 12 months and the 26 weeks of unemployment insurance has been exhausted. So they still not employed, weren't employed after 12 months. Can a new claim be opened up?
So if after the 52 weeks, you can file a new claim, it is subject to what is called a lag test. And essentially that means that from when you filed your claim until the end of that claim, so that 52 weeks that claim was open, you do have to have returned to work and earned wages in order to make that next claim valid. So if you've been out of work straight through and you haven't returned to work or earned wages, again, you can apply for benefits. Then at that point, ED would make a determination to see if you're eligible. If you haven't returned to work and you haven't earned wages, most likely you would receive a notice in the mail saying that you're not eligible. And then at that point, the information would get mailed to you.
Okay. Again, this is another question specific to exhausting benefits. If my benefits have been exhausted, is there any way to begin the training piece, or is it too late?
So you want to contact EDD. In general, if you've received 26 weeks of unemployment, then oftentimes you're not going to be eligible for that training extension. There are requirements of contacting EDD by the 16th week of your claim in order to be eligible. But again, if you're interested in those training programs, I would definitely read up about the training programs. We have a bit of information available on the CTB page, the California Training Benefits page on our website. You can also go into your local AJCCs and ask for additional training information. And then we would make a determination from there. So again, I wouldn't want to say that no, it's not possible, but more than likely you would not be eligible for that training extension.
There seems to be quite a bit of questions in regards to S Corps and wages earned through S Corps. That income, does that income qualify for unemployment benefit? Does it have to be W-2 income?
So it would depend. You would want to report those wages to us and how you earned them. And then at that point, EDD will make a determination if those wages are usable or if they're deductible from a claim you're already receiving benefits from. So a lot of these questions, especially if you report this information through UI Line, it'll provide additional questions so you can really kind of give us more specifics. And then at that point, EDD can make your determination.
And this is going to be the last question. I just want to remind folks that if your specific question was not answered tonight, that you can contact your respective assembly office and they can help facilitate getting that answer for you. And the last question has to do with, is there a time limit to when they file their claim? Specifically, this individual's job ended in December. He thought he was going to get another job, but that hasn't panned out. Is it too late to apply for unemployment benefits?
No, not at all. So you would want to apply as soon as possible, and we can start that application process. All claims are filed the week that we receive them. So we would receive it this week and file the claim effective this week. If you wanted to try and receive benefits for the time period from now until December when you stopped working, you would want to contact us, and then we can make a determination of whether or not we could backdate your claim. But certainly not if you stopped working in December. It's certainly not too late. So I would always say, again, one of the things I always hit on these answers is always apply and then provide all the information, and then we can make a determination from there. So if anyone else is on the call and waiting for to see if they're going to need to apply or anything like that, the week that you stop working, contact us, file a claim, and then we can start that process. But again, if you stopped in December, go ahead and fill out that application process. If you do want to try and backdate your claim, let us know. Once you filed your claim, you can contact us over the phone or through UI Online. Let us know that you want to try to backdate your claim to when you stopped working. And then we can make a determination if that would be eligible or not. And if it's not eligible to backdate, we would provide you a notice saying why. But again, that shouldn't affect your claim going forward.
Thank you so much, Kyle and Susan, for joining us tonight. And on behalf of Assembly members Laura Friedman and Chris Holden, we'd like to thank you all for joining us tonight for this very informative webinar. Just know this webinar is recorded and available on each of the websites of the Assembly members. And you can view that on their websites, visit our Facebook pages as well. And again, if there's any questions that you still have, please contact our respective district offices for EDD assistance. Again, thank you for joining us tonight.